So I want to say thank you to Patty, who actually was the person that was, I mean, she's the one that really put this all together, along with Cynthia at UC Alumni. So thank you for the two of you for putting this event together and for asking me to be the first woman that inspires all of you. Or I'm gonna share my story with all of you tonight. And it's gonna be real. It's gonna be transparent. I'm gonna talk to you all about just how I've experienced life. You know, you see all of this around you here today. It didn't just happen. It happened with 30 years of sheer grit and effort as an entrepreneur. I'm immensely grateful to my family, number one, for being so supportive of me and my endeavor to do something that I truly love. And for me, it's never been about money. It's always been about following my dream of doing something that I truly am passionate about, and that I've made a difference in people's lives. You know, whether it's a corporate project, a healthcare project, a home, somebody that I've really helped with. You know, so it's not about the money. It's about the joy of what art brings to us. And you know, I see a lot of people around here that I've really affected in that way. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. When I was asked to share my story, I said yes. I mean, it didn't start off, you know, people think, oh, you're an art dealer. You are, you know, it's a prestigious job, but it started from very humble roots. So I'm going to start you off with where it really started. And I want to shout out to my father, who is right here on my right. And if it wasn't for him, Petros, he got a special spot here tonight. You know, we lived in a little village nestled in between these mountains in northern Greece. When I was born, and I'm going to introduce my sister too soon, because she's also a UC graduate. We didn't even have running water. We had no electricity. We had no running water. The family lived in this house. We lived on the top, and the animals, the farm animals, lived on the first floor, right? That was a long time ago. And my parents, my mom is not here tonight, but I wish she was, but she couldn't make it. They had a dream to bring their family to America. What do we all say about America? It's the land of opportunity, isn't it? And so many immigrants, I'm not the only one, so many immigrants came here. Sandy, you also, your family.
That's true.
It's so true, right?
Yes.
They came here for a better life. And the number one reason is for an education. An education is everything. So my mom and dad, Petros and Sofia, picked up their little girls, my sister and I, Sylvia, she's right here in the front row. We each had a suitcase. Our parents had their life savings in their pocket. Who can guess how much their life savings was back then? Anything? Guess. $600. He put in his pocket, right? Am I right? He put that money in his pocket. They tearfully said goodbye to the entire family in Greece, in this little village. And by the way, there were 600 people in the village. And they all knew each other. They were all related. They were all related. And so they tearfully said goodbye. And they set off with my sister and I to America. Didn't even know how to speak English. Didn't know anything about the culture. But you had the desire to take your children, your two girls, and to make not only your life better, but our lives better. And through education, And so we get to America. My aunt, my dad's sister, picked us up, and we moved to Cincinnati. And that was in 1967. I was 3 years old. So we had never eaten a hot dog. We didn't know how to speak English. Here we are in America, what the heck? So the dream was to create a better life. And my sister and I, Sylvia, we talk about this and we think, you know, if this wouldn't have happened, we might have been farmers' wives, milking cows. And we're both art dealers now, right? The course of our lives changed when our parents decided to take the biggest risk of their lives. So we persevered. They worked day and night. Day and night. My father went to classes to learn English. You got a job. You worked the night shift. Mom worked the day shift as a seamstress. And they saved for our family. We went to school, and then it was time for college. So, you know, many families ask for assistance, grants, loans, money. We didn't ever do that. They saved and they gave us the money to go to school. We never had a loan because we don't believe in loans. We just don't believe in loans. We're a Greek family, we just don't take out loans. My husband knows that. My kids know that, we just don't. So my sister and I, who, by the way, I keep referring to you, will you stand up and say hi to everybody? This is my sister Sylvia, graduate of UC, tap. Okay. I'm going to share a little story with my sister. So anyway, they saved and saved so we could pay for college. And my sister and I worked through college to pay for our books, to pay for anything else that we needed. We paid for our clothes. We stayed at home. We couldn't afford to live in the dorms. We stayed at home through college. And so fast forward, we graduate. So back then, you had to find a profession that made money, maybe, that was a sure thing. So I was in education. I was going to be a teacher because, you know, there's no job like art dealer. What is that? Who does that? So I got a degree in education. And my sister got a degree in business because, you know, you got to have a degree in business. So if you want to make money, you know, you have to think about making money. So we both graduated, and I just couldn't, I didn't, my first job, I was in this public city school district, and I really didn't see myself in that. I just couldn't see myself in that. And my sister, Sylvia, couldn't see herself quite in business. So you went for a degree in fashion design, because, gee, we're kind of creative. So you went and got your degree in fashion design, and I was just searching for something else that I loved, and I ended up getting a job up in Michigan in an art gallery, which was so cool. I love that. So that was 30 years ago. started the business. We started it together, and in your house, where it was pretty amazing. We started the business very small. We only had 2 clients. And then Sylvia went on to work as a corporate designer for shoes. She designed shoes. And after that, after a year, I was like, I got to find a space to work. I've got to, I think I really want to pursue art in corporate spaces because I knew that companies had money. Right? So I wanted to pursue selling art to companies because you know what? They all want their corporate headquarters to look good. Right? So they have the money to spend. So that's what I pursued. And I want to talk a little bit about the spaces that I've been involved in for the past 30 years. So I'm a believer in, because of my parents, taking nothing and making something. Like what you've taught both my sister and I to always follow our dreams. And you know what? You look at something and you might not see much, but you know what? There might be something there. So I started at the Pendleton Art Center in a tiny 500 square foot spot on the first floor. And I was there, I remember Van helped me back then. So let me just share with you a little bit about my husband. Speaking of corporate, like, thank God for his income. That's all I can say, because guess how much I made?
Nothing.
For the first 5 years. 0. Nothing. I made nothing. And luckily, married a man that I felt was going to be a great husband and supporter, not only emotionally, but financially. I mean, those 2 things, we fell in love. So for the first 5 years, I was in my sister's house, well, first year, and then moved to Pendleton. And worked with all the artists there. They're amazing artists at the Pendleton Art Center. Made just wonderful connections there. It was just fantastic. Stayed there for 17 years. Started with 500 square feet. I left there at 14,000 square feet.
Wow.
So what happened was I started building the business. I started making connections with people. We had a whole framing operation, which we still do over here. It was a full-service art consulting company. And so I just built it up and built it up and built it up. And I remember with all 3 of my girls, which I will introduce you to here in a minute, I worked the day they were born. That's how serious I was about my career. Like every child, like I was pregnant out to here, but I had a dream and I wanted to do the best that I could. And even though I was 9 months pregnant, I kept going until I finally felt contractions. And then I'm like, hey, honey, I call Van. I think I might be giving birth tonight.
Go home.
And he's like, will you please come home? But as anybody here that's an entrepreneur, you do everything. You just do it. You just do it. And so I did come home, and I would give birth that night. So one thing that I truly love is creating something out of nothing. So at Pendleton, I had nothing. I had 500 square feet, and I ended up expanding and growing. And then I moved, after 17 years, I moved to the Edge building, which was behind the Taft Art Museum. Who here has been, who was there at that location? Yes, many of you have. So that was a warehouse. It was right on the edge of like downtown, the very south edge of the city. And that was, a warehouse, and we were on the 5th floor, and it was the coolest space. It had like floor-to-ceiling views of the city. Of course, you know, at that time when I first saw it, it did not. But I envisioned beautiful windows looking out into the city, and with people coming in and looking at artwork. And so we made that happen. And so I was there for 10 years. And then I had a little disagreement with my landlord. And he said, Litsa, you know what? Would you like to renew your lease after 10 years? You know, you've been very successful and you've done so many things here. Would you like to renew your lease? I said, yeah, I love it here. And he sends me a lease, and it's double the rent. Double the rent. So guess what I said? See ya. Bye. You know, ciao. Take it easy. So I tried to find a new space. I cried about it. I love that space. It was beautiful. I cried about it. So I manifested in my heart. I manifested. Where could I be? What could I do? Can I find something else as special? So then I found this place. And when I first came in here, a friend of mine who works here in the building invited me to come over, Chris Rose. He said, Litsa, he goes, it's not much to look at, but it's got a lot of space, and I know you like a lot of space. I came over and I saw this space, and it was the ugliest place you've ever seen. It was so ugly. It was dark and dingy. It used to be a popcorn machine factory. And for 67 years, Gold Medal manufactured popcorn machines. And if you had popcorn tonight, that's one of the machines over there. So we found a machine, slowly found a machine, and so they manufactured popcorn machines here for 67 years. And they left, and then another company came in, and they stored all kinds of office furniture here and whatever. So then I looked around, and I was like, this is so ugly. But I looked at the ceilings, they were really high. I looked around the space, and I was like, this is big, 13,000 square feet. This is big. I could really have a great addition to my business. Like, I could really move in here and be able to service my clients, framing, show lots of art, have events, bring people in here. I dreamt of a kitchen, which you guys were all in. I had this all, I manifested it. I had it in my head, like, of what I could do. And I signed the lease during COVID. So it got delayed. So there was a gap between when I left my old space and when I was able to get in here, because I couldn't get in. They just didn't have the space ready. So we took another spot in O'Brienville, which we stayed in for a couple years, which was really great. They built this space out, and I want to share a few really cool qualities about this space. Many of you have looked around. Don't you think it's cool? Mm-hmm. Like, it's amazing. So the door that you walked in tonight has a very, very special meaning. That door I found dirty and dusty at Wood and Nickel downtown. I ended up, after much research, I love that door. I didn't know why I loved the door so much. It resonated with me. Later discovered, after much research, that that door Martin Luther King Jr. walked through. It belonged to the home of the very first African-American mayor of Cincinnati, Theodore Berry. He has his name on city buildings downtown. Came out of his house. I had no idea. It resonated with me. I bought it. Now everybody gets to walk through that door, which is pretty special. These chandeliers got a notice from Millennium Hotel. Hey, liquidation notice. Come and see what you can find. So I called my sister. Hey, you want to go? So we went over there. We went into the grand ballroom. We saw these chandeliers. They were dirty and dusty. What did you say, sis? Buy them. You advised me because I look at you for advice for many things. I said, sis, what do you think? Buy them, is what she said. So bought them. So this space is really, really special. It makes you feel good, doesn't it? Makes you feel really good. And the artists that we show here, we have close to 200 artists. They're all living. They're living artists. Our mission is to support those artists because that's what they do for a living. My goal is never, ever say starving artist. Never. Because artists deserve to be treated with respect and dignity, and just because they're an artist doesn't mean they're starving. Because they come to people like us that can help sell their work and help them succeed as business owners and as artists. So that brings me to my book. As a gift for everyone, I wrote a book a few years back called Secrets of the Art World. Everybody here gets a book. I want you to take one on your way out. So if you want it signed, I'm happy to sign it, but everyone gets a book as my gift to you tonight. And it's part of my mission of supporting artists, of helping them succeed, of really, you know, this is kind of like the last phase of my career, and I have enjoyed it immensely. I've gone through so many ups and downs. Nothing brings me more joy than having all of you here.